Back now at 8:44 with social commentator and TV host Tavis Smiley. He is celebrating 20 years in broadcasting on PBS and public radio, and his 15th book hit stores on May 1st. It is called Fail Up, 20 Lessons on Building Success from Failure. Tavis Smiley, good morning.
Good to see you. Welcome back. We missed you.
Oh, come on. You did that sweet.
You deserve it, but we're glad to have you back.
Well, let's talk about this book, because just in time for graduation, you're writing a book about personal failings that even people close to you don't even know about. You talk about a check kiting episode that got you arrested, an open mic incident that spoiled an interview, a relationship with a well-known Hollywood director, and a firing from BET. No, why now? Why are you revealing all this now?
I think I'm comfortable in the skin that I'm in. These success scars I'm ready to show now. No one who's successful in any field of human endeavor, if they're being honest, won't tell you that they've learned more from their failures than from their successes. I think we learn more from failure than from success.
This real effort to help other people with this.
I think so. And I think people can situate themselves in the stories in this book. I start out each chapter talking about my own personal failings. But I love what Samuel Beckett, the great Nobel laureate, once wrote. He said very simply, ever tried, ever failed, no matter, try again, fail better. I love that. Try again, fail better. Failure doesn't have to be final. It doesn't have to be fatal. And we live in a world right now where everybody's so, I think, frozen by failure. Individually, in our families, in our country, we're afraid of the future. And I think we can fail through these things if we learn the lessons.
You chronicle in your book the criticism, for example, that you faced when you used your broadcast forums to hold President candidate and then President Barack Obama accountable. We should explain that as a social commentator, you had been known and having a good reputation for holding politicians accountable. So what exactly happened here? Because you were actually, really reviled for this.
Well, the short answer is that black folk who have waited 400 years for this moment, and I understood that. I was on the anchor desk with Brian Williams and Tom Brokaw the night that NBC called this election for Barack Obama. One of the highlights of my 20-year career, being on that desk at NBC that night. But black folk waited 400 years for this moment. I understood that. They wanted him to win, if I can take Malcolm X's phrase, and by any means necessary. So having somebody talk about holding him accountable, even though I'd done that for every presidency during my broadcast career, there was something about this guy, this black guy, who they wanted to see elected, and they didn't want to hear any kind of critique or accountability talk about it. So I didn't change. Many in black America did. But that's part of what it means to learn from lessons in life. You have to stand in your own truth with courage, conviction, and commitment, and know that over time, folk will catch up with you if you're telling the truth and you're doing it in love.
You were called a traitor. You were called a sellout.
I got called everything. And the funny thing about it is, Barack Obama, President Obama, is the best example of failing up in this country. He ought to be the poster child. When he ran for the House seat years ago against a guy named Bobby Rush beat the brakes off of him 3-1. He came back a few years later, ran for the Senate. His opponents started falling off like flies. He walks into the Senate. In 2000, he can't get into the building for the Democratic Convention in my hometown of L.A. And in 2008, he's president of the United States. Pardon my English, if that ain't failing up, I don't know what is.
Well, as president, then, since you bring it up, what do you think his greatest failure has been so far?
Well, I think he's got a full plate, but I think he's got to be held accountable to a number of different standards. I think he's wrong on these wars. I think he's given too much attention to the rich and the lucky, not enough attention to the poor, not enough focus on jobs. Again, there's a lot on his plate, and I'm empathetic toward that. But ultimately, are you going to side with the weak, or are you going to side with the strong? And we got to focus more attention on the weak in this country and less on the strong.
You think this budget battle, this tangle, is an opportunity for the president?
Yeah, I think that budgets are moral documents. Budgets are moral documents. You can say what you say, but you are what you are. And when you put your budget on the table, we know what you believe in. And there's some questions, some real questions to be asked. The Republican budget is no better. But budgets are moral documents, and this budget here says a whole lot about what our values and priorities are, and quite frankly, I don't like any of it.
One of the priorities needs to be about finding people jobs.
Absolutely. That is the message.
So what is it that you think needs to be done? What's your message to President Obama and to Congress this morning?
I think the way to cut deficits is to provide jobs. That's the simple answer. If you want to reduce the deficit, get Americans back to work. That's true for Republicans and Democrats. Jobs, jobs, jobs. This country has to fail up as well.
All right. A man who never lacks for an opinion. Thank you so much, Tavis Smiley. The book is called Fail Up.